In the beginning, there was nothing. No sky, ground, not even time. Just an infinite void waiting for something to happen. Then a voice thundered through the darkness, powerful and commanding. "Let there be light." Instantly, light exploded into the scene, chasing away the shadows and flooding the void with brightness. God took a step back, squinted at his creation, and said, "Not bad for a day." And with that, the first day came to an end. On day 2, God rolled up his metaphorical sleeves. "All right, this needs some structure," he said. So with the sweep of his hand, he separated the waters. Up above, the sky stretched out vast and blue, while below the ocean swirled with promise. The first ever atmosphere was born, and God gave himself a little nod. That'll do. By day 3, God decided it was time for the world to get a bit more interesting. "Let's see some land around here," he commanded. Immediately, the waters obeyed, pulling back to reveal dry ground. "Much better," God said, inspecting the rugged terrain. But it still looked a little bare, so he unleashed vegetation, trees, grass, flowers, and vines. Soon the land was alive with colors and textures, the smell of fresh earth. It was like an artist's palette had spilled everywhere, and God, the ultimate landscaper, smiled at his vibrant handiwork. What do you know? It was day 4. God turned his attention to the vast sky. "This place needs some lights," he said. With a snap of his fingers, he hung the sun high above to rule the day and set the moon glowing to oversee the night. To top it off, he scattered stars all across the heavens like diamonds on black velvet. "Now that," he said, admiring the celestial drama, "is some top-tier ambience." Day 5 birthed movement and sound. "Time to fill these waters and skies," God declared. Suddenly, fish of every kind darted through the oceans, while birds of all shapes and colors soared through the sky, their songs echoing across creation. The air and sea came alive with energy. "Go forth and multiply," God said to the creatures, probably smirking as he imagined how chaotic things would get later. The fish swam off, the birds chirped their thanks, and God called it another successful day. By day 6, God was on a roll. He created land animals in all their diversity, majestic lions, playful monkeys, lumbering elephants, and yes, even the peculiar platypus, which probably made him chuckle. But he wasn't done yet. "Let's make something in my image," he said. Gathering up dust, he molded the first human ever, Adam, and he breathed life into him. Adam blinked, looked around at the world, and said, "This is pretty awesome." God showed Adam the garden he'd made for him, Eden, and let him name all the animals. It was a sweet gig, but something was missing. God noticed Adam wandering around a bit lonely. "It's not good for him to be alone," he said. So he put Adam into a deep sleep, took one of his ribs and fashioned it into Eve, the first woman. When Adam awoke and saw her, he practically jumped for joy. "At last, someone like me," he exclaimed. Eve, rolling her eyes at Adam's enthusiasm, just gave him a smile. Together they explored Eden, a paradise where everything was perfect, or so it seemed. But paradise had its rules. God pointed out one specific tree, the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and warned, "You cannot eat from this tree. You can eat from any other tree here, except this one. If you do, you shall surely die." Adam and Eve nodded, agreeing to the terms. But curiosity always finds its way. One day in particular, as Eve wandered near the forbidden tree, a cunning serpent slithered up beside her. "So," it hissed, "God said you can't eat from this tree, huh? What's he afraid of? Eve hesitated, frowning. He said we'd die if we ate from it. The serpent chuckled, shaking its head. Die? Please. That fruit will open your eyes. You'll be just like God, knowing good and evil. He's just trying to keep you from leveling up. Eve glanced at the fruit with her curiosity intrigued. It looked delicious. Before she knew it, she plucked one, took a bite, and handed it over to Adam, who without much thought chomped it down too. Suddenly their eyes were opened. They looked at each other, realized they were stark naked, and scrambled to cover themselves with fig leaves. A little later, they heard God walking in the garden. Panicking, they hid themselves among the trees. Adam, where are you? God called. Adam, his voice shaky, replied, We hid because we were naked. God frowned. Who told you that? Did you eat from the tree I told you not to? Adam immediately pointed at Eve. She made me do it. Eve, not missing a beat, pointed at the serpent. The snake tricked me. God sighed deeply, clearly unimpressed with their finger pointing. He addressed each one of them in turn. To the serpent, he said, You will crawl on your belly for the rest of your days, and there will always be trouble between you and humans. To Eve, he said, Childbirth is going to hurt a lot, but you'll still want to stick with Adam. And to Adam, he said, The ground is cursed because of you. Farming's going to be a lot harder now. Then with a heavy heart, he sent them out of Eden, and he posted an angel with a flaming sword to guard the entrance. Outside the garden, Adam and Eve began their new life. They had 2 sons, Cain, a farmer, and Abel, a shepherd. One day, both brothers brought offerings to God. Abel brought the finest lamb from his flock, while Cain offered some crops. God appreciated Abel's gift more, and Cain, burning with jealousy, stewed in silence. Why are you angry? God asked. If you do what's right, you'll be accepted. But be careful, sin is lurking, ready to pounce. Cain didn't listen. Instead, he invited Abel out to the field, and in a fit of rage, he killed him. When God confronted Cain, asking, Where's your brother? Cain shrugged, playing innocent. Am I my brother's keeper? But God wasn't fooled. Your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. You be cursed and become a restless wanderer. Cain, realizing his mistake, begged for mercy. God marked him so no one would harm him. But Cain's fate was sealed. He wandered off, leaving a trail of regret. And so, humanity's story began. Not in perfection, but in struggle. From creation to exile, from joy to heartbreak. Genesis 1-5 lays the foundation for a tale of choices, consequences, and redemption yet to come.